Deep within the labyrinthine vaults of the Vatican Secret Archives lies a document that simply should not exist. Hidden away from the eyes of the public, guarded by centuries of religious and institutional silence, is a 16th century nautical chart. But it doesn't depict the world as medieval scholars knew it, and it certainly doesn't depict the world as we know it today. Look closely at the top of the map. Where modern globes show a barren, inhospitable wasteland of solid ice, this ancient parchment reveals a lush, navigable North Pole, an intricate network of islands, flowing rivers, and deep water channels entirely free of glaciation. For hundreds of years, conventional historians dismissed these forbidden maps as myths, the hallucinations of overly imaginative cartographers, a geographical fantasy. But they were wrong. Recently, modern science accidentally uncovered the terrifying truth. Using the latest 2026 subglacial bathymetric data, advanced sonar technology designed to map the ocean floor beneath the polar caps, geologists discovered something that shattered the established timeline of our planet. The topographical data of the modern seafloor matches the 16th century Vatican charts with impossible precision. Let that sink in. The coastlines drawn on this ancient, suppressed map accurately detail a landmass that has been buried under miles of solid, impenetrable ice for thousands of years, long before the invention of sonar, long before the dawn of recorded human civilization. How could a 16th century cartographer map a landscape they could possibly not see? Who originally sailed these lost Arctic waters when the Earth was warm? And most importantly, why is the Church guarding these ancient charts so fiercely? Today, we are breaking through the secrecy of the Holy See to uncover a lost world. We are reconstructing these forbidden routes to prove that our understanding of global history is fundamentally wrong. What you are about to see will challenge everything you've been taught. The timeline of human civilization is a lie, and the Vatican holds the original blueprint. Welcome to the suppressed geography of the North Pole. To understand the magnitude of this geographical heresy, we must first look at the man who dared to draw it. The year is 1569. Gerardus Mercator, the most famous cartographer in human history, the man whose map projection we still use on our GPS systems today, publishes a map of the Arctic. It is titled Septentrionalium Terrarum Descriptio. But Mercator's North Pole is not a block of ice. He drew 4 distinct land masses separated by 4 massive flowing rivers that converge at the very center of the world. And standing perfectly at the exact North Pole, he depicted a colossal black magnetic mountain, the Rupes Nigra. For centuries, Orthodox historians laughed at Mercator. They called this specific map a blunder, a fantasy born from sailors' myths. How could a genius of geography make such a bizarre, unscientific mistake? The answer is chilling. Mercator didn't invent this landscape. He copied it. In a surviving letter written in 1577 to his contemporary John Dee, Mercator confessed that he based his Arctic map on a much older, highly classified text, a book known as the Inventio Fortunata, the Discovery of the Fortunate Islands. Written in the 14th century by an unknown Franciscan friar who supposedly traveled to the North Pole, this book described the ice-free polar geography in terrifying detail. It was presented to the King of England, and then it vanished. Every single copy of the Inventio Fortunata was systematically erased from public record, destroyed, burned, or confiscated by the highest authorities of the Roman Catholic Church. Why? Because the Inventio Fortunata contained cartographic data that predated the Ice Age, data that shattered the Church's dogmatic timeline of the Earth's creation. But hiding a book is one thing. Hiding the geological truth of the planet is impossible. Fast forward to the year 2026. An international coalition of geophysicists embarks on a highly classified mission to map the Arctic seabed. Armed with next-generation subglacial bathymetric sonar, their goal is to scan through miles of polar ice to reveal the bedrock of the ocean floor. What the computers rendered on their screens sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Beneath the frozen wasteland, the sonar did not show a flat, featureless seabed. Instead, it revealed a highly complex topography. They found the Lomonosov Ridge, a massive underwater mountain range spanning 1,000 miles across the Arctic Ocean. But more shockingly, the sonar detected deep, ancient river valleys, canyons carved by running, freshwater rivers. Rivers do not flow under 3 miles of solid ice. Rivers are carved by liquid water, eroding solid rock under an open sky in a temperate climate. When researchers overlaid the newly acquired 2026 bathymetric data with Gerardus Mercator's 1569 map, the map based on the Inventio Fortunata, the alignment was not a coincidence. It was a perfect, terrifying match. The 4 rivers depicted by Mercator perfectly align with the ancient, dried-up riverbeds discovered at the bottom of the Arctic Ocean. This leaves us with a paradox that modern science refuses to answer. According to mainstream geology, the Arctic has been covered in a thick sheet of ice for at least 2.5 million years. If that is true, how could someone in the 14th century, or perhaps much, much earlier, accurately map the topographical features of a landmass that has been buried under ice since the dawn of humanity? How do you map a coastline you cannot see? The only logical conclusion is the one Orthodox history fears the most. The maps held in the Vatican Secret Archives are not fantasies. They are copies of master maps, source documents inherited from a highly advanced pre-glacial civilization, a global maritime culture that sailed the oceans of this planet when the North Pole was warm, lush, and inhabited. A civilization that existed long before the Sumerians, long before the Egyptians, and long before the biblical flood. And this is exactly why the Church intervened. The Vatican Apostolic Archive contains over 53 miles of shelving, 35,000 volumes of text. Only a select few scholars are allowed inside, and even then, they can only view documents they specifically request. You cannot browse, you cannot explore. What is hiding in the dark corners of those 53 miles? For a religious institution whose entire foundation relies on a strict, linear interpretation of human genesis, starting with Adam and Eve, progressing through a divine timeline, the existence of a highly advanced, ice-free human civilization millions of years ago is not just a scientific anomaly, it is an existential threat. If the public realizes that human history is cyclical, that great civilizations rise, map the globe, and then are wiped out by catastrophic polar shifts or ice ages, the illusion of control breaks down. The suppression of the Arctic maps is not just about hiding geography, it's about hiding our true ancestry. The myth of Hyperborea, the ancient Greek legend of a paradise in the far north where the sun never sets, inhabited by giants and gods, was never a myth. It was a memory, an ancestral echo of a lost golden age, preserved on the fragile parchment of forbidden maps. The ice will eventually melt. The polar caps are already shifting, and when the white veil is finally lifted from the North Pole, the ruins of our true origins will be exposed to the light of day. The Vatican knows this, the cartographers knew this, and now you know it too. History is not what happened. History is what the victors and the archivists decided to write down. Do not trust the timelines you were told. Look beneath the surface, because the greatest secrets of humanity are not buried in the stars. They are frozen beneath our feet.